Kill it.
Bandwidth and hosting for BagelTech Big is provided by UK2.net. Web hosting for everyone. Hello, welcome to BagelTech Big, the weekend show from the BagelTech Network with me, Ewan Rankin. And it's a wonderful summer's evening. Apparently we're flying through debris from Comet Thatcher, and there's supposed to be a good light show going on if you're out in the northeast of the country. But if you're down south and it's cloudy like we are, then you're stuffed. So there's nothing out there at all. And I've been using Andrew Stevenson's recommendation this evening for the stargazing called Star Walk, and it's bloody fantastic apart from there's no stars because there's too much cloud. So I've come inside here and we're doing the BagelTech Big Show. I am joined by a fantastic crew, some of our usual suspects. Sarah from Essex, Sarah Gray. Hello, Mrs.
Hello. It's the first time I think I've ever been first, actually.
Yes, because there's no one on the top screen. James Hart has had a week off, and Carl's lying on a beach. So lucky git. How have you been, mate?
I've had a superb week. Thank you very much. Very busy, very productive. Got lots done, and I've enjoyed the sunshine today and having a weekend off this weekend, which is long deserved.
Jolly good. Apart from the stuff that you've done on our website.
Yeah, well, you know,
bit of busman's
few
holiday.
Bits and pieces, nothing much.
Jolly good. Below her, we've got Mr. Alex Fox, fresh of the photo show this morning, and his patenting of the twig tripod that is secured by use of a shirt. Well done, mate. That was very impressive.
Well, needs must and all that.
Well, it was only a prototype.
The thing was that he did it in his garden and could have gone inside and got a tripod dead easy, but...
I got like £500 tripods, £500 heads, but I'd rather waste an hour and a half making something that's completely useless.
Have you still got the twig pod?
I think that got mashed up as a game of football. Started taking place around me while I was trying to...
What are you going to present at the patent office now? That's what I
think we may re-establish ourselves and make a new one. I might saw down a tree just to...
The heavy-duty version.
Yeah,
How have you been, mate, the rest of the day? You had 600 photos to start touching or something this morning.
I did one of them. No, actually, I did about 18 of them. Then I did one more, and I thought, you know what? It's Good Friday. That's enough.
Yeah, the Toad suggested in the chat room that the prototypes are never good. You always need a Mark II.
Well,
so,
yes.
Jolly good. And last but by no means least, Mr. Eric Lanigan tapping away there with an ear infection, bravely joining us from California. How's it going, pal?
I don't know what I have. It's some kind of combination sinus infection that's like clogging up my ears, and I can barely hear out of the one, and it's miserable. But I'm here. I'm drowsy, and I have no idea what's been in the news. So I'm the best possible person to have on the panel today.
Well, we've all got stuff because we've got no Etherpad, so that means that we can't see the show notes stuff that we'd all planned out, and we didn't have a redundancy, of course, which would be really sensible and way beyond us. Actually, you use station tubes that are probably blocked up there, Eric. That's
I think so.
Have you got balance issues?
I've had a little bit of a little bit of dizziness, slight.
Yeah. What you need for that is alcohol. It doesn't help with the balance, but at least you've got a reason to be off balance.
Yeah, if the room's going to spin, you may as well be enjoying it.
Exactly. The week in technology. It's been a bit of a slow news week as well anyway, so the fact that we can't find the Etherpad this week is not the biggest of problems. We're going to keep it pretty simple, I think. We've got two subjects to talk about, and the first one is Spotify. Spotify have taken all of your free account people and they've decided to limit you to, quite severely it would seem, you can only have 10 plays of any one song in a given month. And they've limited you to 10,000 songs? No, can't be that much. But they've limited you quite
10
severely.
hours.
10 hours, that was it. 10 hours, and you can only have 5 plays of one single song within a month. So that seems like pretty draconian stuff going on there. Chat room, feel free to throw any opinions in as we go through this. But what do we think to Spotify limiting your access?
Boo.
Okay, that's that done.
Yep, that's it. No, I mean, I was a very, very, very early taker up, if that's the right word, adopter, if I was speaking English, of Spotify. When I first signed up, there was unlimited. Anyone could sign up. There was no limits on how many unpaid memberships, etc., etc. But it was only very, very shortly, 2 or 3 weeks before they started, you could only sign up as a free member if you'd been invited by someone else.
Yeah,
and you could only be invited by somebody that was a full paid up member. And the way it's going, I mean, it's a great idea. It's it's the carrot, isn't it? And you're giving us the carrot, and we're all taking up the free offer of this wonderful music. And it's a very, very good service, to be honest. But it's going to get to the point where I'm just going to wipe it off my desktop soon, because the reason I like it is I find a piece of music I like, I listen to it. I like the way it operates. You find a genre you like, you listen to someone it gives you the opportunity to listen to people that they think are very similar. And I have found new artists, and I've found artists that I love, and I've bought albums from Spotify.
Well, Last FM does that as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do. But I'm not sure how. There were 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 companies doing this sort of thing when it came out. But Spotify seemed to, I don't know, they're the ones I stuck with. But I mean, I have bought music via Spotify. I don't want to put it on my mobile because I don't want to pay for the privilege of testing out some music so I can buy it on their behalf and make their money. But
do you guys have do you have Pandora over there?
I don't use it. I don't know if we can get it or not. Actually, I've never tried.
Because I don't have Spotify, and I was curious if you know how Spotify compares to Pandora. I take it I've heard it's a streaming. It's like a streaming online radio service, right?
Yeah, you choose your music and away you go. I think it's identical to Pandora.
Okay.
No, chat room's confirming no, it's not available in the UK. So, we've got Spotify, you've got Pandora, and I don't think there's a great deal to choose between the two of them. So is Pandora unlimited, or unlimited inverted commas?
I'm trying to think. I actually bought the update. It was like, I don't know, it was very cheap. It was like $10 for the whole year or something to give Pandora Plus, which means I can skip over more songs in an hour. If I don't like them, I can get higher quality stream. It's 192 kilobits instead of, I think it was 96 or something very low before. And there's something else too. I think I no longer have ads, any kind of interstitial ads after so many songs like you do with the free version. But other than that, I'm not really sure. Do you know why they changed the licensing for Spotify? Is it the record companies demanding more money?
Well, that was my next question. I
think it was inevitable. It was going to happen. They've got to start monetizing it. The free service was too good to be true. I mean, like Alex, I was an early adopter of it as well and thought it's brilliant. The only difference is that I tend to listen. What I've tended to do is to listen to things on there, and new artists as well. And I'd actually listen to a whole song, and then I'd go off and buy it from Amazon or somewhere like that. But it's a great way of actually listening to music. But I'm not actually, because apart from the odd ad that we get, there was no way of them monetizing it. So this had to happen.
I think the other problem as well is that, I mean, here in the UK, we do performing rights, give you a check for your airplay time on radio, which I know doesn't happen as yet in the States. So if you're looking at the British phonographic industry pressuring Spotify for numbers of plays to give out royalties to performing artists at the current rate that you get in radio, there's no way Pandora could manage. Not a chance in hell. That's where you get up to your $75 trillion thing that you've got with the RIAA.
Well, now, interestingly, in the United States, streaming radio is required to pay both the what is it again? It's the performance, and it's also they pay the songwriter, right? Do I have that right?
I think radio only pays the songwriter, doesn't it?
Right. Radio in this country just pays the songwriter, but streaming in this country has to pay both.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Now, all of our radio stations are supposed to pay royalties equally, so it goes back to performing artist and the writer.
I thought that the writer always tended to make more money out of a song than the actual artist.
It's 50. It's 50-50 on the royalty. So there's a set fee for royalties, which is at 12% or something like that, and then it's not 12%, it's 1.2% or something stupid. And then when it's played, it's split 50% between the songwriter and the artist. So if you're a band with 5 members in it, you still only get 50% of the 1.2% or whatever it is, and if you're the one person that wrote the song, you still get 50% of it. So it's not a lot of money for it. It's small amounts. I mean, that's why Kyle keeps saying he gets royalties checks through from Delvian Records, and they're like 12 cents because someone played his song 5 or 6 times in a week and liked it, and all of a sudden then there's a check pops up for 12 cents that he's got to cash and then pay bank charges on it, $30 probably.
Incidentally, late breaking rumor from CNET I'm looking at, Google is apparently in talks with Spotify to collaborate with them and bring their service to power Google Music.
Wow.
According to a source with knowledge of the talks.
Well,
Is that
that's a
just
big
for the
player,
US,
isn't it?
Eric?
There's always the other side of it that, I don't know, people, I suppose they don't forget, but I always looked at Spotify, because when it first started, I thought, well, why is anyone doing this? Why are you bothering? And I was thinking, well, if I was an up-and-coming artist, I'd be really glad to have somewhere to show my work, if you like. I would love to be on a network where, you know, even if 100 people listen to it for nothing, I'm going to be broadcast. I think that's something maybe they could do. They could say, okay, so you've got 2 sections. You've got new and up and coming, e.g., we'll let everybody have our music for nothing for as many plays as you want because we want to get out there and we want to get known. And then limit the people, you know, that are established, that you can only have 5 plays a month if you want. But, you know, if I write a song, my band writes a song, I want everybody to have access to it. And I want Spotify to work on my behalf. So I think, you know, maybe they want to split this up into 2 divisions, but I think they are limiting the half of the usefulness of their website to the people that are actually producing the music.
I think it's quite interesting here that, you know, on the Mac show we got Andy and Atco on last week, and we questioned him, you know, what do you think, Andy? And he said, well, I don't see the cloud thing really kicking off until 2012 for Apple. And there's a thing saying that the music service is virtually imminent. There's a CNET headline here to just now. Apple signs cloud deal with Warner Music, as well as. So if you're now saying that Google are coming in, there's a real kind of almost a frenzy to get services out there as quickly as possible, isn't there?
Well, Google can tie every play of every song to a screen full of advertising for everything else related in any way, shape, or form to that artist. So, you know, that should bring costs down as long as you're willing to, I don't know, look at loads of banners flying across the screen whilst the video's playing.
I mean, the headline here is Race to the Cloud, and it really is a complete and utter race.
Bring it on. I mean, the more the merrier, I think. I mean, all that's going to happen, the more that these big companies are going to fight with each other. I mean, Apple could use iTunes to do this very same thing as Spotify. I mean, that, you know, they've already got the catalogue, but it's only going to be good for the consumer, the more of them that want to do it.
But the fact that
I mean,
still worry about it being monetized, though.
And when you say race to the cloud, are you referring to streaming like we know of now, where it's analogous to radio, where you basically you're just hearing that instantaneous bit streamed at that time, you know, randomly chosen, or you're referring to where people are storing their music in the cloud and devices like iPhones and iPods and MP3 players are not playing their locally stored files, but rather streaming them from your, I guess, the user's database of purchased music as opposed to radio plays.
Well, I don't think you're going to get a situation whereby you stream all your music from a static location in the cloud anyway, because of the
don't.
Well, no, because of the fact you've got, you know, dropouts, 3G usage, limitations of carriers, that kind of stuff. So, what you're going to end up with is applications which are going to do it for you. Now, if you look at Spotify, that lets you store something like 7,000 songs in buffer to use when you want from your total collection. So, you know, that's an enormous amount of audio, so you can continuously listen whilst driving and you're going through a tunnel or...
really? I had no idea. So what does it do? It caches, what'd you say, 7,000 songs in advance?
Yeah, so basically the application that you've got will allow you to store up to 7,000 songs on your device, and you can swap those out and slide in and slide out as much as you want. But then when you go out on the road, if you've got no 3G signal, or if you've got no ability to stream, or it's very limited in terms of the bandwidth, so it's all chunky and it's dropping out, which is where Last FM really falls down, because periodically, if you're driving especially, it just goes completely for long periods of time. Spotify will allow you to continue going because the music that you like is already on there.
That is cool.
Yeah,
what's the qualities? You know the bit rate?
I have no clue what the bitrate is because I'm not a Spotify user, but it is very, very good from what I've heard from people.
Well, it's certainly very good on the desktop.
Yeah. The key part of it is the fact that this is music that you don't own. You are streaming it, but it's an encrypted storage on your device, so you can't steal it per se. I suppose you could do an analog output and rip it, but that's the only way.
That's really cool.
Well, yeah, but I can't that was probably a very hard fought ability. I can't believe that the music industry took that one particularly well, or took it free of charge.
I'll bet. I'm surprised they allowed that at all. I mean, I guess that's why we haven't seen Spotify in the United States yet, or have any other service do a similar caching thing, which is of course horrible because hearing you say that, I mean, it's encrypted. It's not stealing music. As a user, I wouldn't have access to it. I mean, there is no legitimate or moral reason that shouldn't be the way that type of service works. It's just silly, the licensing that the record companies have demanded to exclude such a thing.
You'd have analog access to it because obviously at some point it's got to go into your ears. So, whatever device you use to get it into your ears, whether it's a plug-in lead or something, there would be a way to steal it on the analog front, but...
Right, but no different than radio.
No worse than radio. You just haven't got some jock talking over the top of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think what we're talking about in terms of cloud is not streaming. With Spotify and Google's providing the storage, Spotify's providing the technology. With Apple, they're talking about signing up deals with corporations. Well, they've already got deals with corporations to sell. I'm sure they wouldn't need to be doing a great deal to get it to stream. What they're probably looking for is a storage deal with them so that they could store and stream. Surely.
Well, there's two sides of the coin. You've got the sort of the DRM issue when you buy something from iTunes and you've actually purchased it and you still can't play it on any device, especially with audiobooks and things like that. And on the other side, I think us as consumers have got to be careful that we don't allow it to go, say, in a similar way to sports rights have gone. That only the very best and the most well-known musicians are going to get any sort of pushing or airplay as such. I think it's just something we've all got to, as consumers, be keeping an eye on, because of if things look like they're too good, then they probably are. So Spotify, as Sarah said, it was too good to be true, and so therefore it was too good to be true. So something along the line is going to make them more money out of us than we anticipated in the first place. We can be sure of that.
Aaron in the chat room saying that he thinks Spotify's only 320 songs on the PC and 160 on the iPhone. He says, I think, and he also says he thinks that they use the Ogg Vorbis Q5 codec for
interesting
code decode, which is a good quality, isn't it? I mean, there was a guy the other week I was listening to on a different tech show. I think it was Computer America, and he was talking about saying that everyone should be going to Ogg Vorbis as a distribution codec.
I haven't heard of Q5. Is that a new version? Is that like AAC Plus kind of thing?
Aaron, feel free to answer that question because
I think that was the ones that they used for all the Guitar Heroes, all those sorts of. I'm pretty sure it's what they did. They used on the PC side of it.
I mean that Ogg Vorbis is the reason that I think that Ogg Vorbis is preferred. Please feel free to correct me because this is off the top of my head. Is that there is no licensing issue with it like there is with MP3, MP4, M4A, that kind of stuff, because they're all authorized and licensed, and the licenses may never expire. But Ogg Vorbis is license free, so there's no one that can take your music away in the future at any point.
Well, the interesting thing is it's the same argument with Ogg and Vorbis and MKV. Well, I don't know, not MKV, but that whole Theora, I guess I was thinking of. It's the same argument that you have with Google's proposed standard of WebM. Is that It may, in fact, and some would say probably is covered by some companies' patents out there, maybe the entire pool of them. But because it's only, and that's why it's sort of been just a hobbyist and Linux user and enthusiast kind of format, because the big players are more likely to sign on to a big patent pool like MP3 or AAC or both, rather than take the risk of being sued for using Vorbis and not getting the patent rights to any of those technologies.
You're relying on the egalitarian ethics of the person that holds the patent, effectively, and that may never expire. They may never choose not to allow it to be used freely, but it is still potentially there to be taken away. Is the route as I understand it?
Well, that too. That actually was not what I meant. I was thinking more along the lines of the debate that was going back and forth with the Google's WebM video codec is that Google says that they own all the patents to it and that they have given all of those away for free. They've made those entirely royalty free. But the company that owns the license to MPEG-4 has come back, as well as many third parties and analysts have looked at this and said, well, if you look at the fact that there's like 1,200 patents that have to do with the video, that with MPEG-4 and MPEG-2 video encoding, then probably someone, if they wanted to, could wage a pretty hefty lawsuit against any user of WebM for I mean, they've got every patent for the tracking the motion of pixels across a screen locked up. Which is very unfortunate, and that would be a whole separate discussion about patent reform. But at least as far as use of codecs is concerned, it makes companies without meaningful patent reform like that, it makes it the wisest choice for a company like Microsoft, like Apple, like the people who have come out against WebM to license MP3, MPEG-4, AAC, where at least they're in a patent pool of like every other manufacturer of all these devices. Makes it very unlikely that any of those people would sue them for anything because they bought into a pool that gives them little bits of money, royalties.
Yeah. Biting the hand that feeds. So no, I mean, going back to the original question, Eric, I think what they're looking at is not a streaming facility. They're looking at this ability of how can I access what I already own anywhere all the time, because that's the real issue that's gone on with everything. Is people seem to feel that when they purchase a piece of music, they own the music. They don't realise they only own a license to play it. They don't own it as an individual stock item, as a thing in their hands. All they've purchased is a license. That completely evades people.
Right, and in most cases, people don't realize when you buy something from iTunes, even though it's DRM free, you don't have anywhere near the license that you have and the freedom that you have with a CD. You can't resell it. You can't copy it and store it in separate places. I think I have that right. Someone had broken down and analyzed how Amazon's MP3 service is actually far more liberal in its license than any other online music download service for pay that's ever been, especially Apple. They're much more restrictive on what you can do once you purchase the file.
But one of the reasons I use Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people use Amazon because of that and the quality of it. But the thing that people are wanting is they want to be able to access what they've purchased wherever they go. And I think slowly, and it's taken too long by a long way, people are starting to realise that 90% of the people that buy your music are good, solid individuals who don't want to then stick it up on torrent sites for everyone to get access to it. So most people will just want to hear what they've legally purchased and own as a license, but they want a license now to play it wherever they fancy.
Trouble is, the recording industry have never really adopted that model of understanding that, because they've always wanted to have it so that when a different format comes along, when we went from vinyl to CD, we can charge you again for that piece of music.
That's what they want.
People even bought cassette tapes. They bought super audio CDs. They bought DVD audio, and
8-track.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. This is the whole thing. If this works, it will take that power away from the recording industry. So we buy it once and that's it.
Do you really want 8-track back, Eric?
No, I don't want 8-track back. Well, it would be a first time with 8-track for me because I never used an 8-track machine. But as long as you have a perfect digital copy that you can transform into whatever new flavor or new standard is out, then that completely upturns their entire business model, whether you're talking movies or or music industry of having you buy every version of VHS data, DVD, Blu-ray, HD DVD. They want that to continue. They don't want to give you just a perfect, pristine download that's completely non-DRM, so you can just transfer that into whatever new format is the flavor of the year.
And backed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find that an interesting, I mean, non-critical, but I find it an interesting phrase, a perfect digital copy. I would beg to differ that the fact that it's been digitized and it is digital, to me, musically, means it's never been perfect in the first place. But that's just probably because I'm old and grey.
Not only that, but also with MP3 and a lot of codecs are compressed, which is great if you're listening through a set of headphones. But if you're using it to broadcast in the theatre, it's nowhere near good enough quality. So it's not a perfect copy.
I mean, that's the other thing. If we are going to stick them all on clouds, etc., we will inevitably be compressing them to a far greater extent than we do now. So anything that you do put on your Spotify list and pick up in your car on your iPhone or whatever to listen to is going to be even lesser quality than you bought it from in the first place. So the only thing that will achieve, and all this cloud stuff will achieve, will be to downgrade what we're used to. It's an argument I have with, well, not an argument, it's something I discussed with Ewan on the photo show, the fact that as technology moves on, we are getting more and more used to lesser quality in our images. And in the same way, I feel that we're getting used to lesser quality in the actual quality of our music.
I totally agree. And I think when I was saying perfect copy, I kind of meant that's why we don't see something like that. That's why we don't have lossless FLAC downloads left and right, and Blu-ray quality downloads. Everything is highly compressed, and partly for that reason. Yeah, you can make a bit-for-bit copy of an identical copy, but it's hard to carry along a format. It's a 160 kilobit MP3, even though there's no DRM, is not future-proof because it's already, it's using the recording standard of the late 1970s CD with the compression standards of the early 1990s MP3.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing is because most of the time we're listening to music through headphones, whether it's 160, 96, whatever it is, even 64, are we really going to notice the difference in quality in that?
It depends on the device that you're listening through, though. See, that's the point, is if you're talking about streaming it down through to your iPhone and listening it out of the iPhone speakers, you're not going to know the difference between
that's what I'm talking
80
about.
kilobits a second. Exactly, yeah. But
if it's on a desktop PC through a hi-fi or something, yeah, you probably would.
Nice set of Bose speakers, yeah, it's going to make a big difference.
But we're still paying the same full price that we'd be paying for it if we were buying it off vinyl in the first place.
And the issue is as well, don't forget that if we're talking about cloud systems where we're talking about more than cloud streaming, where we're talking about cloud storage and instant online access, then if you want instant online access, your carrier is not going to be giving you FLAC down for 7,000 songs out of a database. They're going to be wanting you to take 80 kilobits mono.
Yeah, they'll certainly be giving us flack, but not in the way you're thinking of. I mean, if we're expected now to pay extra for anything over 500 megabytes a month from our, our mobile carriers, how many songs are you going to get for that?
Yeah, I was going to get onto this as well, thinking that it's going to... No, it's fine. That's fine. I thought we would move on to this, so it's good because it is a separate issue. It's, this kind of plays into the hands of the 3G providers, doesn't it?
So, what data consumption we're not going to get to a point where data consumption exceeds the bandwidth that we've got allocated for households for general broadband use, are we, though?
Oh, sure we are. What do you mean?
Sorry.
So if we have a cloud storage system whereby we're going to shove stuff out and periodically take it down and stream it around, that if it's coming down through the cloud, mostly is going to be taken through a 3G network. We're not talking about Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not going to be doing it at home because you're going to have your storage at home in the first place.
So
you're only going to want the song that you haven't got access to when you're not at home to access the song.
Yeah, but if you're streaming anything at CD quality, even if you define that as like 192 kilobits, which I wouldn't even if I were talking my personal collection on listening on good speakers, if you were like on a road trip, let's say. You were driving cross country and you were cranking up the internet radio at 192 kilobits. You would burn through your 5 gigabyte cap in probably easily before your trip is over.
Sure.
Yeah.
But there is there is another point. If you want to do this while you're on a move in a car, I mean, I've been in cars which have got digital audio radios in them, and they're terrible. This is the newest technology, and the newest technology does not work inside a car.
Bit rates for digital radio, mate, is down in the 80s.
It drops out all over the place.
Exactly, and that's something that's down in the 80s. So that's something that's a really, really low quality, and we can't get it to work in a car. So when you're driving along trying to stream your music, you haven't got a chance in hell.
Yeah, I think, Alex, that's with DAB, I think that's got more to do with the signal rather than anything else.
Output signal from the transmitters, yeah.
Yeah, but that particular case is not good enough. I've got a little handheld DAB radio that I bought especially for listening to in the car. It was absolutely useless.
I mean, it's Tony in the chat room saying it's clearly just a file size versus bitrate issue. But if you look at the number of, you're still talking about transmission of 3G signal, whether you're talking about it as a broadcast radio signal or a 3G data stream. Sure. And there's a lot of good coverage up and down the motorways of the UK, but it's not particularly brilliant. And if you go to the Midwest of America, there's a lot of places that you'll drop down to 2G or Edge very, very quickly, I would have thought.
And I'll tell you another licensing restriction that makes a good streaming music service really hard to deliver, especially while conforming to the very low data caps on 3G and 4G networks, is if the only way that you can get, if you're like Amazon with their cloud player or their cloud drive, I forget what it's called exactly, but the cloud storage, and the only way that you have to convince the record labels to allow you to have your customers host their purchases on your server and stream them whenever they want to, is that you say, well, that's their personal copy that they bought, and it's their 192 kilobit download, same as they would download at home. They just happen to be storing it on our hard drive as if it were their own. Well, what that means is with that license, you can't re-encode that file. In theory, you should have, a perfect streaming service should maximize your bandwidth at home, just like a Netflix streaming or any kind of a good video streaming service does, where if you have HD throughput, it'll bump that up to 1080p. But if you're on the road, if you're on the iPhone, you're on 3G, it'll scale that down as necessary because it has a separately encoded version to accommodate every bit rate. It has to be a separate encoding. Whereas if the way that these companies are trying to get around the ridiculous record label restrictions is by saying you only have that 192 kilobit version and you can't re-encode a lower quality version. So that makes streaming, especially with bandwidth caps, very difficult.
Mm. And I think as well, you talk about with video there, your 1080p video is going to go down to 240 by 320 very, very quickly for use on your handset, and your audio signal is going to be right down there at 80 kilobits very, very quickly as well as. Right. If you're talking about dynamic bitrate change, I think that's a huge leap forwards for them. And once that gets in the hands of the carriers are going to turn that right down. I mean, you look at 3 at the moment. I've got a MiFi dongle with them, and when I got it, I was getting great speeds, 4.8, 5 megabits a second whilst out mobile with this thing plugged into the laptop. Just lately, because they've been struggling for bandwidth, I'm getting 1.2, 2.2, 2.8, and that's it. I'm getting nothing over 3 whatsoever, and I'm running on HSDPA all the time, which is supposedly up to 7.2 megabits per second, but I've never seen that. But you're not going to see bit rates at FLAC compression, even though they're saying, or uncompressed at FLAC, even though they're saying that we'll stream it up to FLAC standards, up to 196, then they're still not going to do it. Sorry, Alex.
So I was going to say, that's what's been happening with technology, and especially mobile technology, since it's, when did I first get a mobile phone? It's got to be getting on for 20 years, if not more. I mean, my first one was a brick. But what has always happened is the fact that the technology can always go a lot faster than what they're actually able to give us. For instance, they could, in theory, send us full streaming audio if they wanted, but the networks cannot take it. I mean, I remember when the massive 3G sell-off was done, it was because we were all going to be able to do everything all the time. But we can't. We can all do everything all the time as long as we all accept that if we're all on it, it doesn't work very well at all. Yeah, so now they're talking about 4G. 4G, what I'm trying to say is that they always up the ability of the technology far quicker than they actually up the the technology that we have to receive what they're talking about. I mean, that's a convoluted way of saying it, but this is the same thing yet again. They're going to offer us more use for this technology, but the systems, the actual infrastructure, will not be able to cope.
Well, you've got a double bottleneck though, because maybe even a triple bottleneck, because if you took to Apple or to Amazon, they want the highest bit rate and quality, so that they can advertise that you'll get the highest bit rate and quality from them as they sell it, because they're the point of sale. The record companies don't want you to have the highest possible quality, because they want you to buy another copy at higher quality that you can then store elsewhere. And the third bottleneck is going to come from the fact that the cell providers will deliberately restrict it. So if you're talking about dynamic control of the bit rate through to the end user device or through to the end application, the cell providers every time are going to say no, stuff it. It's like Comcast with video. It's all very well, but when it comes down to it, Comcast doesn't want to do it. Comcast doesn't want to do it. AT&T don't want to do it. AT&T won't do it. Doesn't matter what the agreements are prior to that.
And it will just come down to the fact that it will be a few people that will pay a premium service to get what they are telling us is the basic right at the moment. It's like the broadband. I pay a premium, as I think you do, Ewan, to make sure that we're not trafficked.
Yeah.
I pay twice what my neighbours pay, so my 50 megabytes never drops below 50 megabytes. They are up to 50 megabytes, but they won't get it.
Right.
Oh, how does that work?
Will happen. That's exactly what will happen here. You will pay an extra to be guaranteed that your download will work, even though everybody is paying the same.
Wait, tell me about that, because I don't think we have that in the US.
Well, basically, Virgin Media is very good with its throttling policies. It says that it does it, and it has an open page. Basically, go to virginmedia.com/throttling, and you'll see their throttling policies. They explain them verbatim. So
is it time of day?
No, they do it on quantity of data per day. So in a 6-hour period, if you're on the up to 20 meg service, I think you can use 6 gigabytes in a 12-hour period, and then after that you get throttled down to 2 megabits a second for the remainder of the 24-hour period. It's very generous throttling as well. Actually, it's not that bad. But the top service that they've got is always unmetered. So the 50 meg service that Alex and I subscribe to is completely unmetered. It doesn't matter how much I take down in a day. I can do 30 gig in 2 hours. If I could actually physically get it down the pipe, they wouldn't be able to throttle me, and that's their standard policy. But you pay a bit more.
Do they call that what do they call that? Do they call that like the business account?
No,
no, that's just a home account. A business accounts, they're twice as much, but you get absolutely no throttling at 100 meg.
But,
interesting. Yeah, and I take it then that they're throttling by the day, so I take it they have no monthly cap.
No, they do it on a 12-hourly period. If you do, I'm pretty sure I'm saying the right thing here. On the 20 meg service, it's the cheapest one. It's only about 17 quid a month, $27, $28. You get a 6 gig limit within a 12-hour period. If you go over that 6 gig limit within that 12-hour period, you're then throttled for the remaining 12 hours. But if you spread that 6 gig across the 24-hour period, they don't touch you.
But what is very interesting, and I only came across it recently, with their new services coming up, they will throttle, but only if you overuse the upload. They're not interested in the download, they're only interested in the uploads. So if you overuse the upload, they will throttle you no matter what service you're on.
Yeah, which is a problem.
And I've never understood that, because I would have thought that because of peering arrangements, that the ISPs would want you to upload more, just like YouTube wants you to upload more, because it counteracts the amount that they send to people for download. Do you know why that's not the case? Because I wish I did.
Well, their argument is, and I have read it, and not by the companies themselves, but by journalists, that the people that supposedly upload so much are the people that are feeding the torrents. So it's there. We have got an excuse to say, no, we don't think that anyone needs to upload that amount of data, so therefore they're probably up to no good, so we'll throttle them back. But you could obviously be downloading anything you want, and they don't seem to be too worried about that. But they think that if they can stop people uploading to torrents, there'll be nobody able to download, which does make sense, but it's obviously just a cost-cutting exercise, and that's how they're getting around it.
Go, Sarah.
I think that may be perfectly valid, Alex. But I think it's also when you look at the upload and download speeds, the uploads are always a lot slower. So therefore, the capacity to completely mess that up individually is that much greater. So therefore, they've got to control it a bit more. I think also they don't want to encourage people to run servers in their own house. And
no, I do appreciate that.
If you not just BitTorrent, but just generally running a web server or something like that, because it's not good for their bandwidth usage. So that's another way of doing that.
Well, what would be interesting, it means that we won't be able to service our own streaming devices from our own servers at home.
Mm.
Anyway, to get back to...
This is why I've always wondered how things like Slingbox actually work, because they're supposed to stream content from your hard drive on your PVR at home. That's why I've never even entertained the idea of buying one. But you hear people using it, and I'm thinking, well, surely that must be using a huge amount of upload from their home broadband connection.
Yeah,
how do they get away with that?
But most broadband connections are actually fairly low anyway. I mean, if you look at my connection, my upload speed is 1.5 megabits a second. So it's infinitesimal in comparison to my download speed. But if you were streaming a Sling player, that would still be enough.
That's going to completely mess up if you want to use Slingbox, isn't it?
I suspect the reason that people haven't really encountered that is because Slingbox is such a premium device. You know, it's like $350. I mean, it's or more. I think it's really expensive. So it caters to not only someone who can afford that luxury, but people who love their cable TV so much that they want to see it everywhere. Which means they probably have pretty fast, or rather, a pretty large digital cable package with all the channels, and they probably they pay for the data rates on their cell phone to be able to stream that. So I think because it caters to high-income people to begin with large cable packages, they probably have decently fast internet connections for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I did try it on, because I've got a 10:1 ratio, so I get a 5 meg upload at the moment, and I just tried something very similar just as a test, and at 5 meg I was still falling over.
Yeah.
So
incidentally, Verizon Fios is symmetrical, even for my parents have that for some reason. I'm like, why how do you have a symmetrical connection? They're like, it's the same price, 20 up, 20 down.
Yeah, that's wow. A lot of the Far East is the same, 50 up, 50 down.
On the new, I can't remember, I think it's DO, I can't remember the letters, but on the new system, there is no reason why it shouldn't be able to run up and down exactly the same. They can make it work on the old system, but it's not quite so easy. But the new system...
Oh, DOCSIS? You're referring to DOCSIS 3?
Yes, that's the new one, yeah. Now, there's no reason why that shouldn't run up and down exactly the same. But they choose not to at the moment. But, you know, maybe in the future they'll let it go.
The thing is,
holding it back means it's something else that they can charge us for.
Say again, Sarah.
That has got to come. If we want to truly have a disparate internet across the world, rather than having these points where data is stored, that's got to come, because we've all got to have web servers or servers handling so we can stream content from one place to another, almost like a massive torrent, but not doing it to share with particular people, just internet data and information flowing across the net, whether it be from our servers, from anywhere. That's what the true internet is about.
Well,
sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because the new systems are supposed to work on more of not parallel, more of a serial interface. E.g., I'll hop onto the back of the next door neighbor. He'll knock, so we'll all be piggybacking onto each other. So we'll all be able to basically be able to use. Say there's 1,000 megabyte service, we'll all be able to use a part of that at any given time. So because it will all be running in serial, we should all be able to piggyback, and the average should be we all should be able to get 100 at any given time. And that's the way the system is supposed to work, rather than at the moment that we all go backwards and forwards from our own little boxes in our house to the box in the street. It should be working the way that Sarah's talking about. It's designed to work that way. It isn't set up for us at the moment to do that, but that is how the future is meant to be working.
Now, Alex, what I've been trying to get in and say is, and this will tie this back to how we started talking about bandwidth, talking about mobile. You had said a few minutes ago how the capability of the devices on our desk and in our pockets their capabilities expand so much faster than the networks will allow, than the data networks. And the perfect example of the increase in usage I saw, we're going to talk about this in our next topic, but I was talking about the site thisismynext.com. They have a great, their article from a couple days ago is called AT&T Files T-Mobile Merger Documentation with the FCC, the highlights. They go through and they talk about AT&T's purchase of T-Mobile. They show graphs and charts that AT&T has provided, one of which is the exponential growth curve of mobile data usage. And they say how AT&T projects they will do all of 2010's mobile data traffic in the first 5 weeks of 2015.
Jeez.
So it's massive exponential growth. Now, here's something interesting to think about. Exponential growth in data use over any internet connection, whether it's wireline, broadband, or wireless. The same has never been true of telephone usage or cable TV subscriptions. You've never had that rate of growth, that year over year, just continuing just straight up with no end in sight. The number of cable channels stays the same. You max out at the number of households who only have, you pay for one cable subscription. You don't pay per channel, you pay per bandwidth, is how they want us to do it now. People consume more data, less, there's never been that analogy. And in fact, they're losing cable subscribers. And especially in AT&T's case, they put in their public, their stock market, what they're required to disclose, how they are losing almost as rapidly subscribers to their wireline landline telephone service, and also people backing down on their voice minutes. So what we have, and the reason why I thought this was interesting to point out is because you kind of made it sound like it, as it always has been, it always will be. That's just the nature of how the networks work. But I think it's interesting to remember that what we're seeing is two companies, cable telco, cable TV usually, and telephone providers, and you can extend that to cellular phone providers, who have always been in business of providing telephone or TV. They got into this data thing relatively late, and now they're seeing that that's their new cash cow. That's the thing that is increasing in demand exponentially as their older services drop off. So they are the gatekeepers now to our advancement in technology where they never have been before.
Sure, I couldn't agree more. But the thing is, you're using the word gatekeepers. I would say that in a funny way, they would sort of be put upon people. I mean, when Apple invented the iPhone, they probably are more than anyone else responsible for this massive uptake of data over the mobile networks. When they invented that, they didn't go to all the telecommunications companies and say, you're going to need to quadruple or 10 times or 100 times your data facilities because we're about to flood your networks. They just sold a phone with the capabilities. So in a funny way, AT&T and the other companies have actually been handed this, for the first few years, this enormous problem to solve. They're still charging us X amount for our phone calls and then on top of X amount for our data. But most of our phone calls will soon be going down the data channel as well.
Yeah.
I won't be making a telecommunication call on my phone anymore. I'll be doing it through Skype or some other service using the mobile broadband network on my telephone.
Or some other voice over IP provider.
Yeah, exactly. So, these people are data providers that now, well, they are telephone people, but they have become data providers just via the very usage that we're giving them. We're not using them as telephone companies anymore. So, they're aerial data companies that people occasionally make a telephone call. But I think this was put upon them. I don't think they designed the networks to work in this way. It's just the way these networks are becoming used. I think another carrier, which is a data-only carrier, probably would do very, very well.
This is the only business on the planet whereby when demand increases, supply is deliberately reduced.
Yes.
And it's the only business on the planet whereby when they sell you the service, they don't want you to use it and they want to charge you exponentially for it. And it's a business whereby if they... I forgot what I was going to say now, but it's a negative business I sell you something I never want you to have, and when you have too much of it, I want it back. And the service that I provide you with, I know you want more of it, but I'm deliberately going to stop you from having it because it just doesn't serve my business model. And also, they've got this thing that they think that audio is entirely different from data. What they don't... the stupid public is not understanding the fact that when your voice comes down the phone, it's not a piece of string on the end of a tin can. It's data just the same as the SMS that's just pinged up in your hands. And they charge you differently for the two. Data.
Right, and to back up what Ewan was saying, did you guys go quiet, or I'm just seeing a delay on the video. You're right. As the demand goes up, they are cutting off the supply. They're applying the bandwidth caps. They're not building out the infrastructure. At the same graph that AT&T shows of the network usage going up exponentially, just almost straight up. Their network. I looked at this. It's been a few weeks, but there was a broadband.gov when it looked at AT&T when they filed this merger and stuff. Their spending on network infrastructure has decreased. It's an almost flat line going down over the years, especially over the 2000s. They've been spending less, and their profits continue to go up. So I don't have sympathy for them because they've totally, at least in this country, they've bought up all the competition, and they've you can almost say fooled everybody into thinking that voice is separate than data, and that there's all these different constraints, and we need more spectrum, and for whatever reason they're just choosing not to build out the infrastructure at anywhere near the rate of our personal needs for it, or of the Moore's law decreasing the price of the back end routers and so forth that they supposedly need to gain bandwidth.
The key part that you've got in all of that there, Eric, is the fact that when they make the statement, this is the amount of data we used in 2010, and we think we're going to use this in the first 5 weeks of 2012. The next question's got to be, so what are you going to counteract that? And the look of glass across their face of going, what do you mean counteract it? Well, what are you going to do to make sure that you can cope with that demand of data in the first 5 weeks of 2012? Oh, no, you don't understand. We're not saying we're going to be able to cope with it. We're just saying you're asking too much for it. And we know we're charging you more for it, but we're not going to provide it. Good grief. Are you stupid?
Exactly. And unfortunately, what you get is what they say now, their new rallying cry is, we need more spectrum. We need you to open up and sell us more spectrum. Great. Let's give all the rest of the available wireless spectrum. Let's lock that up with the only two major telephone providers out there.
Who doesn't want to use it?
But this is where
who refuses to build it out. They've got more than enough spectrum already. They've got all the LTE spectrum they need. They're not building it out. And the thing that shocks me that no one notices is when they say, well, we can't build out infrastructure unless we have more spectrum. Having a license to build out towers on new spectrum doesn't mean you don't have to build out towers. If you put more towers on the existing spectrum, you'd get the same result as new spectrum, new towers. Yeah. It's the same result. It's just they're just trying to lock up the market.
I need a new lunchbox because mine's not full yet.
Yeah, but I mean, my understanding has always been university after university after university have proved that data can be compressed in a far, far, far more convenient manner to us. I mean, at the moment, they're not compressing the data as much as they could in the way that they could do because it suits them. I mean, in Britain, we've got Ofcom, and Ofcom should be standing there saying to all the mobile phone providers, we demand some honesty here. If you're not going to be able to supply the bandwidth for Spotify, then we're not going to allow Spotify to go mobile. You need some government body with some balls to stand up and say, look, if you can't provide this, we're not going to allow you to charge for it.
I think the final comment on this has got to go to Aaron in the chat room because he says, I'm on BT and they definitely throttle. BT has their 20 meg service. The average performance of the BT 20 meg service across the country is 6 megabits a second. And also, I've been looking at service from BT for my local rugby club because Virgin don't do a cable service down to there. And the service that you buy from them is the 20 megabits per second service. The average for Water Orton, because it's a small, tiny village and it's quite away from the exchange, is 1 megabit per second. But they're still going to charge you 20 megabits a second for it. That's the root of the problem. It's exactly what you're saying there, Alex. That is the root of the problem. You are selling us an up-to service, and you've got no intention whatsoever of getting us anywhere close to it. My 3 MiFi dongle, they have got no intention of getting me near 7.2 megabits a second. I would sit anywhere, anytime, at any point of the day where they told me to, and I would say, right, now show me 7.2 megabits a second. They will never get close because they have no intention of me doing it. Speed test is the best thing since sliced bread. And the one thing I'll say about Virgin, you can slag them off for customer service in the fact you always get passed off to some bloke reading from a script in India. But when I do a speed test on my 50 meg service, I get 49.3, 49.7, 49.9.
I agree. Time. It's just as well we live in the first world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But do you know what could stop it overnight? Even quicker than that.
Tsunami.
Stop the words up to, you pay for what you get. If you if you get 20 meg, you pay £20. If you get 1 meg, you pay £1.
No.
Or sort it out so blooming quickly.
No, because the average user will be utterly confused. The average user cannot decipher bandwidth from speed. They have no understanding of the fact that, you know, you can talk about a speed that you get, but then the consumption of the local area network is chocked because everyone wants it. Bandwidth hog is a completely bullshit phrase. It absolutely means nothing to the average consumer, and they don't understand the correct application of it. The BE24, I think it is, they've got a very good service, 24 meg service. You only pay £20 a month, and there's no contract on it, so you can sign up 1 month, cancel it the next. It's up to you. Really, really good idea. But they've got an advert out there of a bloke standing in a doorway as a sumo wrestler who's stopping everyone coming through the door and say, we're dealing with the bandwidth hogs. No, you aren't, because you're telling the consumer what a bandwidth hog is, and it's not the true definition of it.
But would you pay a standard amount for your gas if you only got half of it?
It's not about data amount. You're talking about speed.
But that's
speed
what I'm saying. We need to say it's X amount a month for X amount. If you're only getting 1 meg instead of 20 meg, then work it out. You pay X amount an hour, and if it takes you 5 hours to do it, you pay 5 hours less.
I've got to agree there's got to be more clarity on the way that you charge, but I think what you're talking about there is giving the ability for the providers to make it even more confusing in trying to decipher the difference between total data and bandwidth.
Well, I'm not trying to meter the amount we use. I'm trying to meter the speed that we get it at.
And of course, the reason that most consumers have no idea what any of those bandwidth numbers mean is because most people have no idea how large the files they're downloading are. We know this group because we compress video, we work with images, we're computer geeks, and we know how big files are, and we move them around and we back them up and we upload them to servers, and we have an intimate knowledge of how big a video should be and how big an MP3 should be. Most people have no concept of the relative megabytes and gigabyte sizes of the things they download.
But the problem that you have is that most people's perception of a bandwidth hog is the total amount of data that the person takes down, and it's got nothing to do with it. So I've got 50 meg service. The guy next door's got a 50 meg service. I take 2 gig of data down in the evening to watch a movie on iTunes, and he takes down 2 gig per hour all day, and they're saying that he's the hog and I'm not. And it's bullshit, because what happens is when both of us go on loan, we halve the speed of the data between the two of us, because there's only a set amount of speed on the cable that's coming towards us. It's got nothing to do with the amount of data that's coming down.
Yeah, I always
utterly irrelevant, and people don't understand that.
I've always got I'm sure you guys have probably heard this before, but I've always got an analogy that I use to try and explain that to people who don't necessarily understand technology, and that's it. Imagine a water pipe that's 3 inches thick versus a water pipe that's 10 inches thick, and think about how much time it takes to get a particular volume of water through that pipe.
But again, that's volume, and that's where people get lost. The best analogy is Carrie Holtzman. I've got a 3-lane highway. It's all well and good putting a Ferrari on it, but if it's rush hour, it doesn't make any difference. We still all travel at the same rate.
Well, and to make a comment that kind of bridges what you and Alex were saying, the concept of bandwidth hog only exists even in that incorrect image, like you said, of the sumo wrestler in the doorway, because they oversell what they have. In theory, exactly. you say, oh, that guy's a hog because he's using 20 megabits a second of the 20 megabits we gave him. Well, he bought that. You sold him an unlimited service at that amount of speed, and he's using it in an unlimited capacity. That's you sold that to him. And you want to say to these companies, are you telling me that you sold someone a 50 megabit symmetric electrical connection to a guy who's going to run a bunch of servers and things when your infrastructure couldn't support it. So it's screwing us over because you sold it to him when you couldn't actually provide it on your infrastructure.
It's the 21st century version of the Scarlet Letter, mate. I'm afraid of it, so I'm going to point at someone else because it's their fault, not mine.
I think it's 21st century snake oil salesman.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true.
You know, I mean, I have to buy 50 megabit service because occasionally I need 50 megabits. You know, that's the point. I mean, the guy next door, he bought a 20 bit service because occasionally he wants 20 megabit, but he'll be lucky if he gets 2.
Mm.
I mean, I have to pay a premium just for the very odd time that I might actually want what I've paid for. Now, you'd name me any other service that you have to pay over the top just because you might occasionally want what you paid for. You name me another service, then I'll eat your hat.
Based on the shows that I upload in a given week and the fact that I run the Skype wall all day Friday, I'm getting my money's worth.
Yeah, but the rest of Birmingham's going under.
Oh, yeah, the place is down to 2 megabits a second because of me.
Exactly.
Have we got any cool thingies? Sarah, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I know I've done this before, and I want to make a special note because they've actually improved it even more, and that's for Evernote.com. Superb note-taking service, which I use all the time, and they've just brought out a new version of the web-based version. So I would just want to say I think it's really, really good and absolutely love it.
If you like Evernote, then go get it because it is a fantastic application.
It's available on Android, iPhone, iPad, BlackBerry, all the rest of it. In fact, I've been recommending it to people at work as well.
And have they been listening, though?
Yes. My boss has actually started using it, and one of my colleagues has actually started using it for taking notes in meetings so that she can take her new BlackBerry phone with her rather than a notepad.
Yeah, very good. Good, nice pick, Evernote. I can't remember who makes that. But it's free.
I think it's Evernote Incorporated.
It is free, but there's also a subscription for a premium service as well.
Yeah, but you get a ridiculous amount of data. It's like 500 megabytes a month, isn't it? Of transfer,
yeah.
And the notes are minuscule. I mean, I've never got anywhere near.
Yeah,
it.
I mean, most of the stuff I do is text, and the amount of monthly usage I use is just. It's not even 10%.
And one of the other beautiful features is the fact that if you take a picture of something, they'll do character recognition on it as well, won't they? And fit the keywords in for you. So
that is cool. You know why I think it's Evernote Incorporated? Because I've driven past it. One time I was driving by and I saw like in the Silicon Valley area, and I saw like this old like storefront that was converted like to offices, and the sign just said Evernote, and I was like, oh, that's Evernote.
That'll be there.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to work for them because I could easily be a salesman for them. I just think the service is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, but
it has a lot of evangelists. I'm also an Evernote user. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Now, Sarah, if you want something free and you want to big something up to get it for free, don't big up something that's already free. Diamonds, they're very nice, aren't they?
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to be a diamond salesman.
I'm quite happy. I can sell stuff to people if I believe in the product. It's trying to convince somebody to buy something when I don't believe it myself. That's something that's really hard to do, and I can't
Come
do.
and work for me, please.
Jolly good. Alex, you got a cool thingy for us?
You know, I didn't, but I do now. Earlier on yesterday, one of my last proper laptops, Windows laptops, just decided to pack up, and I just thought, you know what, I'm really fed up of buying these stupid things. So I've got an old iMac that I hardly ever use, and I can't remember, it's one of the first Intel dual core things. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a reinstall on that, and I'm going to stick Parallels back on it and see what happens. And so reinstalled, complete reinstall, put Parallels back on it, put XP on it, and I'd forgotten how quick Windows could be. But obviously you have to put it onto an Apple machine to make it that quick. But, you know, this is I don't know how old that machine is, 3 years old. Clean install, Snow Leopard, Parallels, which I can't remember. I think the new Parallels is about £40 or something. And obviously you need to own the XP or whatever other software you want to put on for the virtual machine. But it's so quick, it's so smooth, and it's so nice, and it was really quite nice to reacquaint myself with it. So, an old Mac, which is now running as a beautiful Mac and a Windows machine. So I think I'm going to give Parallels a thumbs up because I haven't used it for ages.
There's a new
but
version
I'm ready
that's come out recently, isn't it? 7?
Yeah, no,
6.7,
6 has just
6.5?
come out.
6, yeah.
But I'm using 5 because I thought, I'm putting XP on it. I don't know what you could improve because I'm not using Windows 7.
Yeah, I mean the higher end stuff only if you're doing a lot of file switching and running between the two machines repeatedly.
But the coherence mode is just beautiful.
Yeah.
It just looks like a running Mac, but I click it and it's opening up using Windows.
Yeah, it's a cool feature. You just lose all your bounding boxes, don't you? The Windows.
That's
right
beautiful.
there. Yeah. Good choice. It's £70-ish, isn't it? £79-ish.
Yeah, for the new top of the range, I think. Yeah.
Eric, your cool.
Let me go last.
Oh, you want to go last? Okay. My cool thingy is the iFi card. Now, I've recommended the iFi card before. It's a little tiny card that you stick in your camera, you pair it up with your wireless network, and it automatically transfers pictures as you take them through the buffer and down in the pipe and into the laptop that you've got tied up to the wireless network as well. And if you've got a MacBook, then it's great because you can actually make a little wireless loop of your own and tie the iFi card to it. The reason I'm picking it now again is because as of yesterday it now ties to your iPhone and your iPad. So if you've got a wireless network that your iPad and iPhone are tied to, and they can still be tied to your MacBook Pro just the same as you did before, it means that when you shoot on your camera with your iFi card, the image can go straight down through to your iPad and it's right there instantly to look at, which is fantastic for me because it means I can shoot now, echo it through to the iPad. Still got it on the card because the card captures as well, but now I can show it to the customer and we can just zip through the stuff together on the front of the iPad. Big form factor, nice, easy, high quality pictures to look at, and the camera raw conversion and that kind of stuff's all still in there. So winner. There's no way of losing out. It's brilliant. The iFi card is now stunning.
Excellent.
That is really cool. I saw that, how it now syncs to Android and iOS devices. I've got 2 questions. One is, do you happen to know does it send the full resolution file to the handheld device, or does it shrink it down?
I don't know the answer to that, but I think it sends the full resolution file.
Yeah, I don't think it's got any onboard processing at all.
No, I think it's just the raw file itself, raw as in uncompressed.
Do you know whether it sends RAW? I'm guessing it probably only sends JPEG.
No, it sends RAW.
Really?
Yeah, the RAW conversion tool for the iPad is absolutely superb. I piled a load of RAW files onto my iPad while I was away, and it does full RAW support.
Really? What program is that?
Isn't much bigger and high definition JPEG anyway.
The iPad does full RAW support for Canon RAW format. It does Nikon RAW format. It does all of the main RAW formats.
Yeah, it's the same as the Mac software.
Really? In what application?
No, that's it. The iPad has full RAW support. So when you plug your card in the bottom, as it stands at the moment, it'll take the RAW files and store them on the iPad as RAW files, and you can view them as RAW files, and you can upload them as RAW files. It's full camera RAW support.
I think it's the same piece of software that Preview uses on OS X.
Yeah.
So just the Photos app?
It's not an app. It stores them in the photography the photos section.
Oh, but I mean you can view them though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same way as you view a JPEG.
You view the auto version of it.
Interesting. I didn't know it could work with RAW.
The iPad has got full camera RAW support. It always has had.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, do they have RAW development tools, like how you can adjust the exposure and the color balance and all that?
That's a good point, actually, because the Photoshop, you would have thought on the iPad would have had RAW support as well. I'll have to have a play with that. I haven't even thought about that because I don't touch on the iPad. I usually just store and show. So, but
and you're sure you're not accidentally transferring RAW plus JPEG, right?
I've only shot in RAW, so I can't be, unless it's physically converting it. But the speed that it did it was too fast to convert. It's taking the file and reading the file. As Alex said, it's using probably the codec that's being used by Preview to do exactly the same job on your desktop.
That's really cool. So, and my other question is, do you know how it connects to your? How does the phone connect to the card? I guess as a computer, do you know if it's like through SSL or does it present itself as a web server?
I would have. I don't know the answer to that, but basically you've got to have a Wi-Fi connection. You can't just set it up where you've got I'm in the middle of the wilds of Norfolk, and I've got an iPhone that can enable a wireless network and an Wi-Fi card. I can't pair the two together and function it. I've got to have a working wireless network that the two are on.
Right, you've got to have a router. It can't just be peer-to-peer.
Or you've got to create a wireless hotspot using your create other network feature in your iPad. And I'm sure you could probably do that, not in iPad, in your MacBook. But I'm sure you could probably do that in Windows machines. I'm sure you can create virtual networks.
So you could do it with any tethering device as well.
Anything that creates a virtual wireless network.
Yeah, my Nexus S, I can effectively create a wireless hotspot, and I know the MiFi does that, doesn't it?
Right. Yes. So if your Nexus S can create a virtual wireless hotspot like a MiFi, then yeah, that'd do it as well.
I think the Wi-Fi card works as if it's the wireless router. The same way as at home, everything will connect as long as it's connected through the same router.
Yeah, but you can't just pair an Wi-Fi card to an iPhone.
No, you need the whole. You need the whole system, and one of them has to be the central hub.
Yeah.
Right. It'd be cool if they did it over Bluetooth, because then you totally could do peer-to-peer.
That would be cool, Eric.
It'd be too slow. You wouldn't get. I mean, the speed that you could shoot on the camera you wouldn't buffer it fast enough. It's pretty slow as it is.
So how long from the time that you shoot a photo to the time that raw version shows up on your iOS device?
2 to 3 seconds.
Really? That's cool. That's really fast.
Good. That's usable.
I don't know about the iOS device because it's only just come out and I haven't used it yet. But from when I shoot on my 1DS Mark II, and I'm shooting big images, don't forget they're 16 megabytes each. They're coming through in about 2 to 3 seconds on
That's very good,
on the MacBook
I think.
Pro. Yeah.
Just to let you know, I checked because I spoke with Ewan about this earlier, that the i5 Pro is wireless N.
It is wireless N, yeah.
Because we were wondering what the data throughput was. So it's up to 300 megabits a second.
That's great. I was just about to ask that. That's cool.
At that point, you're limited by your camera. See, my buffer's nowhere near fast enough to start transmitting that much data. You're going to need a Core Duo Pro 2 Duo processor in there, aren't you, for that?
Well, at least.
Or a huge buffer size. I was going to say something else as well, but
I still haven't done my cool thingy.
Right, and your cool
Is that what you're
thingy,
going to say?
Eric, go ahead.
So can my cool thingy be a summary of my thoughts on the Apple Samsung thing? Because we never got to talk about that. And I've got nothing else.
No. I thought we had a better conversation, to be honest, because I haven't read enough from that.
I think we did. I think you're right. Because really, all I wanted to say about this, if you're familiar out there with the Apple sued Samsung, and I don't know whether it's patents or copyright, or I think it's a combination of them. They said their icons look similar, the phones look similar. And the one thing that occurred to me whenever I was reading anyone's article or podcast about this week was that the one thing that no one thought to say was, if you're going to sue because you copied Apple's stuff, the thing that separates Apple from everyone else is their phone icon is just a phone, and their settings icon is a gear, and their music icon is a CD with the musical note on it, and their Notepad app looks like a notepad, and their phone is just a flat black slate, a flat on either side. I really hope that Apple doesn't win this lawsuit or set of lawsuits, because if they say that you can't copy them, because the way that Apple designs is to say, what is the most basic, obvious way to do something, to represent an icon or to design a handheld device that you wouldn't know until you saw it. Then you go, oh, that's obvious. That's the most intuitive way to do it. Like a simple phone icon or a word bubble or something. It's representations, or that your music looks like a musical note or a CD. And I really hope that they say that you can't just say that once someone does the most obvious thing first, you can't copy them, because that means that we're just going to see a lot of ugly crap that has to use non-obvious ideas and non-obvious metaphors for icons, and really idiosyncratic and ugly handset devices, because they can't just be flat with rounded sides.
What I think I've got to say there, though, Eric, is the phone icon, I agree entirely, because the phone icon, a phone's a phone, and there's not a lot of doing it. The fact is, though, it's exactly the same style phone on a green background. They're both identical in that sense. If you're talking about the chat window one that's below it, I think that's absolutely nowhere near. They've got to take that one and shove it. The one that really gets me, and it really does show the ethic of Samsung not even bothering to try and look different, is the pictures one, the photo one. You've got the sunflower on the Apple one, and they've used a yellow sunflower on the Samsung one. They've just zoomed in and cropped it. It's lazy. I mean, on that, I would say that Apple should win, because these icons are clearly just copied. They've not made any attempt to try and do something different.
Yeah, I thought the settings one as well was.
But
I thought you guys were going to say the iTunes one, because the iTunes one looks.
The iTunes one's terrifically close. I agreed entirely. But the thing is, I agree with you that if Apple win this one, we're going to get a whole pile of dodgy crap out there that's going to look awful. They can't win all of it, but there should be an order for Samsung to change some stuff that they've blatantly copied. It really is grossly inappropriate, some of the stuff that they've done.
Yes, I think Samsung really they clearly ripped them off in some areas, and I hope somehow they can get some kind of a small fine or some kind of slap on the wrist and be required to change it without having some big precedent set for not being able to copy things. Because again, the one thing that struck me from all this talk is that every other handset manufacturer but Apple differentiates between their phones, between their brand and their line of devices by it's just idiosyncratic little differences, like the plastic molding is just slightly different, or it's curved a different way, or the icons are just a slightly different configuration on the software. And Apple is the only company out there that just goes so basic that it's just a flat black slate kind of thing. Or, they go to the most basic, most obvious, I think a gear has always represented settings back to Windows XP, I believe. That's been very common. So I hope that by choosing the most obvious and basic representation of things and form factor, that they can't copyright the most obvious, basic, and pure form of something. So that's all I have to say about that.
So that's the first time on the show we've ever had a lawsuit called up as a cool thingy. That's kind of sad, mate.
I know.
He's not well. Give him a break.
No, exactly. Last word goes to our sponsors, UK2.net. They've stumped up like you wouldn't believe this month. We are only 22 days into the month, and we've used 2.5 terabytes of data just on audio alone off the servers, and it's not fallen over once. We've not had any hiccups, no problems whatsoever. And I went to them and said, listen, we want to do video, is that okay? And I thought they'd reel and wince, and they said, no, that's fine. Yeah, go on, we'll do video. We'll put a couple of extra nodes up. So they're showing a couple of extra nodes up for the server that we've got, and they're really supporting us. So if you want us to stay on the air, you've got to help UK2. And they've got some fantastic deals for you as well. There's a whole pile of stuff coming after Easter, because there's a complete web design change there, and we're going to look at some closer links for competitions and things. But immediately out the gate, if you want a VPS server, which is what we're currently on before we're going to get moved on because we're using too much data, they're going to give you a VPS server. And when you buy it, if you use the click-through from the BagelTech website, go to our website and then scroll your way down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a UK2.net logo. Just click on that, it'll take you through to the site. They'll know that we've sent you, and when you get there, get to the checkout box for your VPS server and type in the offer code BagelTech, and when you do, you're going to get the first month free of charge. So they'll take off 1/12 of your total charges for your VPS server. And if you do co-location services as well, you get exactly the same deal. You'll get your first month free of charge, and you'll also get a free iPad with your co-location services as well, iPad 2. So very well worth it. And just to add in as well, Don McAllister is the regular guy on the Mac show. He does a thing called Screencasts Online, which is use of Mac software and how to use it. And it's really, really simple stuff, really nicely laid out, easy to watch webcasts and webinars. And they do a paid version and a free version. And Don's very kindly offered all BagelTech listeners, if they want to subscribe to his podcast, the paid version, 50% off, as long as you use the offer code BagelTech again. So check out with Don and use BagelTech, and you'll get it half price. Thank you very much, Don. We much appreciate it. Last run around the table then. Where can we get a hold of you, Sarah?
You can get hold of me on my website, which is sarahjaneuk.com, or on Twitter at sarahjaneuk. Excellent.
Mr. Fox, looking rather weary after 600 photos.
Yeah, you can get hold of me in the garden making tripods without a t-shirt on. Or failing that, you can get me at Alex G Fox at Twittery thingy.
The Twig Pod. It's got to be made. It's got to be made.
It's going to be done.
And finally, Eric, sick boy.
Yeah, you can find me in bed recuperating. EricLanigan.com, Twitter.com/EricLanigan, ErikLanigan.
Now, just for everyone's benefit, I want to read the email that you sent me earlier on, mate.
I know.
I've been
I know what you're going to say.
And then you said that I'm fine. I'm going to do the show tomorrow. I just might not say much. To which I replied, I'll believe that when I see it. And for everyone's benefit, you didn't see it either.
Not even close.
The quiet Eric Lanigan is still a rumour,
Myth.
a myth, a legend. Like the white iPhone.
Yes.
We're back again next week. We're not coming on Monday because it's a bank holiday here and we're doing bugger all. But the Daily Show will be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Won't be here Thursday, and they'll be back on Friday again. And you've got the Bagel Tech Friday is going to be here as well on Friday. So there'll be the Max show is going to be at 1 o'clock. Before that, we've got the photo show at 11, and then we've got the Bagel Tech Big Show at 10 p.m. The other thing is the Bagel Tech Bash is a go for 8th of July, which is Sarah's birthday as well, so it's a double celebration. Bagel Tech will be 3 years old, and I've got the local rugby club. They're going to host us. I've got to run it because someone's already bought a flight down from Scotland and booked a hotel room, so we're definitely having it regardless. We've got about 100 places left to go, I think we can get about 100 places total, so the places are disappearing. If you want to come, you need to send me an email and you need to say I'm definitely coming, and I'll put you on a spreadsheet and we'll get it organised. If we don't get enough there, then we'll go to another location that's a bit smaller. We'll probably do it in my back garden or something, but if we get 100 people, we'll got the rugby club, and we'll have a pig roast, and there'll be some real ales on and stuff like that, and it'll be a fun time. Subsidised bar, so there we go. 8th of July. Must send an email. Don't expect to turn up on the night because we may not actually be there. We'll see you next week. Hope you have a good weekend, a bank holiday weekend, and a nice Easter. And see you then. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bandwidth and hosting for BagelTech Big is provided by UK2.net. Web hosting for everyone.